Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Dee and the team, for organising such a wonderful event. My name's Maxine, and I've travelled from Birmingham to be here today. Yes, you can give me a round of applause. I'm an author and a bereavement befriender. I've written a book entitled Hope, I Will Fight Till the End. And the story in regards to that book is in honour of my beautiful daughter who sadly passed away after being diagnosed with leukemia. She was age 17 months. If you had told me 12 years ago that I'd be standing here writing a book in honour of losing my daughter, I would have told you no. But here I am, still standing, still smiling, and still just saying thank you, God, for allowing me to be here. You know, we go through so many traumas and heartbreak experiences in our life, but I'm here to encourage you all that there is hope, there is life, you can still live, don't give up. And that's what Ruby's encouraged me to do, not to give up. When the doctors told me that she had 2 days to 2 weeks to live, and as I said, the part of the title of the book is Hope, I Will Fight Till the End, and that's what she done. She fought to the very end. She lasted 2 months longer than what the doctor's expectations was. So, you know, as I said, I'm here and I'm just grateful. I know I'm not the only parent that has lost a child. There's so many. I won't be the only one. You may know somebody, you know, with it's your family or friend that is going through a same experience or has gone through the same experience and they don't know how to cope. I'm just going to read an extract of my book. My darling Ruby continues to be my strength and inspiration, to keep me going in spirit, to fight no matter what, and to never ever give up. Don't get me wrong, I still have difficult moments, especially on days like Mother's Day, seeing other children appreciating mothers. However, God has taught me that in every situation, He helps you to cope. There is a way through, and He will not leave you on your own to deal with it. As long as you believe and trust in Him, He has your back. He gives you the tools and equipment to cope with every situation. Yes, life can be tough, but God is faithful till the end. As I said, this book is written in an honour to encourage you, the reader, that despite what life throws at you, there is always hope in God. At times life seems so unfair, it can be very difficult with everyday challenges, but we must continue to fight, never give up. And that's the legacy that I want to leave with you, that never give up, always keep fighting, that there is hope. I do have some books. Please don't let me go back to Birmingham with this book. I do have some books that through Peach's publication, and I will sign them for you. God bless you.
I think we've seen them both.
Yeah. Before I tell you my story, I really didn't think I'd be here today because each day is different for me. Yesterday I wasn't good, but coming here today, I don't usually cry, but my God, some of the stories, such inspiration, and never mind what I'm going through, I just think these women are something else. Your sponsor money now has gone up to 100 quid from my family, but that ain't the end of it, right? But your book would be a bestseller. My book would be allowed on the shelf. Right, so September the 5th last year, 2018, day before my birthday, I was diagnosed with a rare form of sarcoma cancer. Now, being the person that I am, I've got the greatest sense of humour you could ever think of. And I've already lost my mum, my dad, plus 2 sisters, and my brother just getting over it. the family history of cancer is just next to none. So I naturally thought I was the next one to go. But my brothers always used to say, am I not holding it right?
No.
That's what he said.
That's another story.
I've got to remember there's kids here.
Your Sunday voice.
Yeah. So when he, like said, because my birthday was the next day, and then a couple of days later I was doing my other 24-hour relay, I just shook this consultant's hand and I went, well, I'm still doing my relay, but at the time I had to have so many biopsies because they really didn't know what this cancer was. So the amount of things that was going down my throat, these tubes and everything else, I'm keeping it mild now, right? But when I was at work and I used to have these twinges and I was on the shop floor and everything else, I just used to say to my customers, I've got a disability, because these noises and everything that I used to come out with was quite funny. So when he said that I'm going to have to go through chemo, but I would be under London hospitals, because I'm originally from London anyway, I didn't think it would be as horrific as what I went through, because my chemo weren't just sitting in a chair and then I'd go home. My chemo was for 72 hours non-stop. I wasn't allowed home until the 4th day. And then every 3 weeks for 5 months I was having this done. And I was under the greatest professors and doctors you could ever think of. But I used to say to them, I thought chemo's meant to make you slim. What are you pumping in me? Because I was going out, not in. And I lost my hair the first week, but I didn't care. People say, why don't you wear a hat? I goes, why should I? I'm proud of me having no hair and fighting, not fighting. Then after the chemo, I had to have a major operation. It was booked for April the 1st. And I thought, only me could have April the 1st. But then they had to change it for the next day, and I went, thank God for that. But it was still touch and go whether they could remove 11.5 centimetre tumour from my back of my lung, because it was round vital organs. So that was like a 4.5 hour operation. But before I went down for my operation, my friends made these special knickers for me that said, if you're reading this, you're a lucky surgeon. Because they shouldn't be down there, that's what I heard. So I wore them down there, and when I come round, I went, where's my knickers gone? Because you really shouldn't have been down there. But I didn't realise, like, when I used to say to my younger sister, she was only 35, because I've been raising money for 23 years for cancer research and dementia as well. I looked after my mother-in-law, which was the hardest job of my life, but I wouldn't change anything.
Oh, do you know what?
I always knew what she wanted to wear, because she was a very well-to-do woman. I had to watch my P's and Q's in front of her. Because even though I come from a mad, most fantastic, loving Irish family, my parents were the best ever. I couldn't have wished for best parents. But my brothers and sisters that I've got left, amazing. My nieces, nephews, you name everybody, it just, doors never stops. There's always someone. If I ain't answered the phone sometimes I say, you shut up, leave me alone. But with my, one of the times with my family, right, because my mum's got over 100 something grandkids and they're still coming. So when I was going through all this, but I'm still going through, if they wanted to come and see me, they had to put £5 in for the door. And I'd open the door to them. Even though they still would give me money for cancer research, but with this, I said, nah, you ain't seeing me, not unless you pay. And so after all the operation and everything else, and even the physio come the next day to get me out of bed, and I goes, are you for real? You know, and she goes, no, you're getting out. And I went, you've got to be joking. But no, they get you up and what have you. And then Kirsty, like, she comes all to the hospital appointments with me and she tells me off. She's my friend. Because some of these doctors, you wonder why I've got high blood pressure. Oh my God, where do they get them from? Out of a magazine or something? I tell you, I'm putting this on, mate. I'm still going up there, you know what I mean? I still don't feel well. But I have the most amazing husband, like 32 years, been together. Even he went through cancer. So I'm fully aware of what's going on and everything else. But one of the things, when I first went to London Hospital, they messed my room up, right? Right. So we get to this ward, and I knew what ward it was because I've seen the nuns, the vicars, the priests, you name it. I goes, this is an end-of-life ward. And I went, I ain't even started my treatment and you're putting me in here. So they put me in a side room, but after so many hours, even though we was messing about with things and what have you, they said to me, Rita, could you give up your room? And I went, I don't care if I have to sit on the chair in the corridor, because I know what these rooms are for. And it was for a 25-year-old man that I really would have sat on the chair with my thing. So then they put me in front of their desk. And I said, I will behave. But I didn't. So these lot, I said, you might as well bring me up pens and colouring books and what have you, right? I was only joking. My God, you couldn't show a child these books. They were the top of the shelf things. They didn't bring one, they brought two. And one of them had all words and what have you, and the other had, you know, what, all that. You didn't know where to colour in first. But there was one patient that was so rude to these nurses that I really did, God forgive me, give it to her and told her to go back to her room, because she looked like she had nothing wrong with her and all she was complaining about was her breakfast was cold. But me being me, the nurses couldn't say that, I did. So after all that, then I had to have 5 weeks of every single day of radiotherapy. That destroyed me. The last 2 weeks, every day I was crying, saying I don't want to go, can't do it, can't do it. I just wanted to give up every single day. But I knew if I didn't go, I'd have to start from the beginning again. And I couldn't have done that. But I met some inspirational people up that hospital. Unbelievable. I mean, I met a man, you'd think he was a Blues Brothers, but he was blind and loads of things wrong with him. And when he sat next to me on the bus, he touched me and he goes, I'm sorry. I go, it's all right, I really am a size 10. So we had that banter with us all the way to the hospital, and it was the best medicine that I could have asked for. And one of the inspirational people, when I got into my last 2 weeks, even the receptionist that didn't really know me, wrote me out such beautiful card, beautiful words, everything. and I met this 7-year-old boy that was having none of it. His poor mum was on her own. She couldn't console him or anything. So me being me, I got hold of him and I goes, come on, I'll show you what they do. Because where they have to mould you, because you have to be moulded into these things before you can have your radiotherapy. So I said to him, what's your favourite players or team or whatever? And when he said Arsenal, he goes, no, you don't want Arsenal, you might as well have Chelsea. And he told me, you just do your DJs. But without him having the mould on his face and that, he just they couldn't do his thing. So when I showed him some other kids' things, he didn't realise that he could have his hero planted, printed, everything. So the next day when I come in, he come running up that corridor, covered with like this, and I was thinking, if I've changed that one person, but I'm halfway there. God don't want me because he's got enough of my family out there, and he's mostly got bouncers on the gate saying, don't let her in. Because, yeah, there's many times I've cried and I don't want to know. But I was going to give up swearing for Lent, right?
Did you hear how many of us are laughing at that?
being the good Catholic girl that I am, it didn't last a day, but God, you could have got loads of money out of me.
Yeah, you could have done.
But I just can't thank the people around me, and I'll just keep going because nothing's going to stop me. And yes, I will say it is, because I can blame it on my medications and side effects. So thank you.
Hi guys, happy International Women's Day first of all. So, county lines. I was brought up with a silver spoon, believe it or not. I had everything I wanted. My parents lived in a suburb area in Kent. I went to grammar school, I went to private school. Anything I wanted from my parents, I could ask for it. From the age of 16, 17, my dad retired. He said he wants to go back home to my mum's country, Jamaica. So they upped and left, built a house out there. And they said if I wanted to come. I said no, my brother was too young. So he went with them, went schooling out there. Left me here with family, all well and good. Got involved with a couple of wrong people and wrong partners. From the age of 18, I was cooking and selling hard drugs. Then when I was about 21, 22, I then went to Jamaica with my son to go and see my parents and my brother. Fell into a holiday romance. So we all know about that. Fell into a holiday romance and done my 2 weeks there, came back. I think by this time my parents were back in this country, if I can remember correctly. I then flew back to Jamaica, and the person who I had a holiday romance with, I got married to him without my parents knowing. I should give you a background. My parents are Pentecostals, so it's deep churches back in the day, hats, berets, you name it, long skirts. So when your parents don't know about things, it's a red flag. Parents found out anyway. Mum wasn't too happy. I was in Jamaica for over a year. Had to come back to deal with some other issues at home. Came back, no problem. My son isn't for my ex-husband, I should say. He's for another guy, but my son could not talk. He wasn't reaching his milestones. I didn't know what to do. I was still young. So I was thinking, I'm in arrears, I've got money troubles, like I was still doing what I was doing, selling the drugs, but I needed money. So I thought, you know what, I know certain people, quick money, I'll go to Guyana. I ended up going to Guyana, spent 2 weeks out there with my son. It was me, my son in a hotel room, didn't hit nowhere, didn't go nowhere, so it was just dead and boring. Picked up 2 bottles of rum. They had 2.5 keys of liquid crack cocaine. Went to the airport, got to the airport, sitting there waiting for the plane. Their narcos team actually approached me and said, can we check your luggage? I was like, yeah, playing it cool, because you know, if you get caught over there, it's a different thing. They searched my bag and they took the 2 bottles out. Now one of them, he shook, fine, liquid. It looked like rum. The second bottle looked like syrup. It had started to turn. He's looked at me, looked at my son, and he said, okay, Miss Fuller, off you go. Put me on the plane back to Heathrow. And I believe he put me on the plane back to Heathrow because he knew I didn't have no family out there. So he was going to take care of my son once I go to prison. Got to Heathrow, got stopped, searched straight away. I knew from that, I'm done. My parents didn't know. That's another red flag right there. When I got caught, got taken around the back into customs, and they said it's all positive and whatever. They said you got a phone call. The only person I know I could call was my brother. I phoned my brother and I said, Matt, I'm at Heathrow and I've been nicked. And he said a name and I said, no, just call Mum and tell Mum, I need someone to come and collect Israel, but I know you don't drive, but I need someone. When my brother phoned my mum, she was in the car with the pastor of my church, going to a church conference. It was so difficult. Long story short, my son's godfather came to pick up my son. I was actually given bail. I don't know why, because you are not supposed to get bail. From what I know of other people that have been caught, you don't get bail. I got bail, and then on the day of my sentence, I got sentenced to 4 years. Now that's unheard of, because my solicitor was saying to me from the beginning and saying it to my mum, your daughter is looking at 7 to 15 years on the amount of coke that she's got, and plus it was liquid and she's carrying it into a different country. She's looking at 7 to 15 years. My mum being the mum that she is, and the church that I go to, I know everyone put down some pieces of prayer, because I ended up getting 4 years. And even my solicitor was shocked, because he was like, that does not happen. So I done 2 years. I done a week in Gloucestershire, HMP Eastwood Park. Then I done a week in HMP HMP Holloway. That week in Holloway was the worst time of my life, because I was put on a unit for what's the word? For vulnerable people. I'm not vulnerable, but I was on that ward because there was no other rooms on the other wards. I was in a room with another girl. This girl, on my second night of staying there, or third night, she started ripping her sheets. And I looked at her and I said, now, what are you doing? Because I'm not into this. I don't know about suicide. For me, I don't know nothing about that. So I'm just like, I need to talk to you. we started talking, and she said, I've got nothing to live for, my kids have been adopted out, and rare. Anyway, she stopped what she was doing, and then I was shipped out to H&P Send, where I spent the remaining of my time. She came 2 weeks later. Now, in H&P Send, you have your own room and own bathroom. So there's a long corridor. Say this is the corridor. So you've got room. I got moved off, and I know why God moved me off this ward. He moved me off into the drugs unit. I'm not a drug taker. But he moved me off the drugs unit. They moved me off the drugs unit because this is new people coming in, so there's an influx, so everyone's getting moved. So I only was on the drug unit for about 2 days. On that second day, the girl that I was in Holloway with came, and she was in the room opposite where I was before. She actually killed herself. And if I was there, I could have seen what she was doing. Don't know if I could have prevented it. I don't know. But I'm glad I didn't witness it, because I know that would have broke my spirit. Because prison can either make you or break you. Yeah? I'd done, as I said, my 2 years. And for me getting 4 years, you're a parolee. It's up to a board that can tell you whether you're going home or not. It's not tagging, that's 4 years below. Because I was straight 4 years, you are a parolee. And a parolee, there is so many restrictions. The first year I was in, I was, banged up for 15 to 20 hours a day, because I was working in the kitchen and working at other places as well. The last year is when I could go out to work. So I worked in a charity shop at first, and then I got a job working at RHS Wisley in their coffee shop. And I had one day, every Saturday, I could go down and see my family down in London, but I had to make sure to be back at a certain time. Prison life is not great. The food is disgusting. To be separated from your family is the hardest thing, especially when you've left your 2-year-old, because that's how my son was at the time, and then your best friend, my dad, being diagnosed with vascular dementia. And when he's having TIAs, he had a fall at church. They're finding clots, and none of your family's telling you, because they're thinking of your mental health. Because you're stuck in there, can't get out. And even if you put in for compassionate leave, my dad weren't dying, so they're not going to give it to me. I went through that. Coming out of prison, hard again. I've been in retail for 10 years. So coming out thinking, boom, I'll come out and find a job. Find a job where? Retail's not taking you. Because nowadays, there's a thing called a CRB or a DBS. Do you know that retail's asking for 5 years where everywhere else is asking for 10? So even and whoever does work for retail or any other job that I'm about to say, like a dustman, sweepman, or anything, sweeping person, anything like that, that you don't really need no education. Well, yeah, you might not need education, but that DBS is not your friend. It is the hardest thing to do. And I've been out now 14 years. And do you know, it was only 2 years ago that I got the job that I wanted, and that's working with SEN children. It was such a hard fight. I also want to touch on, I know most of you are mothers or grandparents or uncles, aunties, anything like that. If you know any young person and you see a change in them, or you see a red flag, go and talk to them. In fact, talk or ask them a question, but make sure you're listening to that person, because you don't know what they're going through or why they're doing it. Yeah? I haven't, so my son was 2, he's 18. Yeah? And he's in that category of being a young black man. And it scares me, and he's already said to me, Mum, people have approached me because they know what you used to do, so they've approached me to sell drugs. Because I've seen what you've done and what you've been through, I ain't doing it. I'm going to work. And that's the conversation you need to have with your children. You need to be real and open. Whether you've, like, there's been so many speakers here today with so many different stories. Like, for instance, yourself. When you do have a child, be open. Male or female, be as open as you can. Even with health, the child may not be able to understand, but being open, they'll be open to you. So you can have that friendship relationship, but you are a parent at the same time, or a family member. They've got to know their boundaries. But you have to be open, because being open with these young people of today, and I'm talking today as in with all these stabbings and whatever's going on out there, you have to be open with your children. Because if you're not, you may see your child go down a certain path and you ain't going to like it when the shit does hit the fan. Sorry, excuse my French. Be open with them. And that's all I've got to say.
So when Dee told me about the event and invited me to come and speak to you, I didn't really know much about what I could share. And even on the way here, I thought, well, I haven't got anything prepared, because normally when I'm speaking, it's normally in front of a set of slides or doing a presentation, because my journey isn't really totally interesting. I was born in North London to my mum and dad weren't married, which back in the day was quite stigmatised. I was one of 7 kids, although brought up of separate families. So my dad had 2 boys, my mum had 3 kids. They'd left their prior families and got together, and it was all very, it was really stigmatised. And they had my sister, who was adopted out of our family, and then 5 years later had me. I think my sister got off quite lightly, actually, because my dad was quite an abusive guy, but thankfully for me, I had a really strong mum who taught me tenacity and openness. And when you said be open with your kids, the young lady that spoke before, I really think that in this day and age that's so important, because we grow up in a world of social media, and I know Dee follows me on social media, and I put out all of the glossy, I'm having a great day, things are going well for me, and kids these days watch so much of that, and it's really easy for them to be beguiled by the lifestyle that people are showing through filtered images and the moments when they can compose themselves and write things that are positive. And actually, sometimes life is shit. And when you're open with your kids and you teach them that the reality is not what they're seeing on social media, it isn't what they're seeing on Instagram, it's not about people pursuing careers that are giving them lots and lots of money because they're wearing a certain pair of trainers and they've taken a set of pictures. So my life now, I'm really interested. Obviously, there's been the workshop this afternoon, from bankruptcy to business. But I've listened to Rita's story about her cancer, and although I've had some trials and tribulations in my 56 years of life, including relationships with my kids and relationships with men, and the relationship that I've got with myself, actually, I feel pretty blessed. I've got my health, thank God for that, and I've got my intellect, which, you know, at school I was told, my dad was very firm, you know, you're going to go and get a job or you're going to piss off. That was the encouragement that I got to work. And I did work. I worked for a number of people until my daughter was born. I worked at NTL with Dee. It was one of the best jobs that I had. It was hard work. I had I loved the company. I loved the people. But when Molly was born, I decided I was going to do something for myself. I was fed up of making other people wealthy through my efforts. And who in the room's, who's employed? Just give me a show of hands. Do you love it? Who loves it? Keep your hands up if you love what you do. So there were hands that were dropped, right? So I'm assuming there are people there that are working for other people and you don't like it. Who would change their circumstances? Okay, what's stopping you?
Nothing, I guess.
Nothing, you guess. Okay. What's stopping you? Yeah.
Because I want to try and make a documentary and I need something to back myself up. So
Okay. Well, I sat for, after Molly was born, after, you know, I fell in love with her, I spent 9 months looking at her and doing very little. I didn't have to go back to work. My husband at the time had a brilliant job. But I knew I had two choices. I lived in Milton Keynes and I could have been the aerobics queen of Shenley Church End, or I could go and work. So I thought I was going to start a business of my own, and I thought of loads and loads and loads of ideas, and gradually I decided that none of those would particularly work. And then I thought I was going to open a bridal shop. I mean, that's a dream job, right? Everyone wants to work in bridal, glossy dresses, sparkly dresses, and I did that for 12 years. Now, if I could have gone to Tesco's and buy my food with white ivory dresses and tiaras, it would have been great. I ended up owning about £120,000 worth of stock and a massive overdraft and a massive business loan. But everyone thought I had a glossy lifestyle because I looked very glamorous most of the time. So in 2016, the bank foreclosed on my business overdraft with no warning whatsoever. The business was doing okay. It was tough. But I went to the bank, went to cash a cheque that I'd written to myself. I'd paid a supplier using my credit card, went and wrote myself a cheque back, banked it, went to get some money out. It had bounced. Phoned the bank up and they said, well, by this time Pete and I had split up and I was on my own. And they said, well, Miss Andrews, we've closed your overdraft. And you didn't think to let me know, and I've got wedding dresses coming in. I've taken deposits off of brides. How are they going to get their wedding dresses? They didn't care. Now, unbeknown to me, when I first went into business, and I was really green at the time, I'd signed a thing called a personal guarantee. Now, if any of you ever start your own business and the bank stick one of these in front of you and shift it under your face and go, it's a personal guarantee. You can take legal advice, but you just need to sign there. Don't do it. Just go and get some legal advice. So I'd signed this personal guarantee that had transferred the business debt, if they needed to rely on it, onto me. So I had a viable business that had a £36,000 loan that I was paying off gradually, and my business bank, like my personal account manager, who was quite young, quite inexperienced, had got wind of the fact that my husband and I had split up. He felt quite nervous about me being able to continue the business, and he'd advised NatWest to foreclose on the overdraft. And not only foreclose on the overdraft, but then transfer the debt from the business onto me. So I spent 2 years of stress thinking, how the hell am I going to pay this back? You know, I can pay back NatWest Bank £50 a week for the rest of my life, while their CEO, excuse my French, bucks up the country, okay, with whatever they're doing and borrowing money from the taxpayer. And while he's on the golf course and I'm stressing, so the debt collectors started chasing me, and they were phoning up to say, well, you do realise it will take every asset away that you've got, everything you've got. And in the end, I got bolshy. That's thank you, mother, that's down to my Irish mother. So I turned around to them and said, look, I'll tell you what you can have. I've got a CD collection of Boyzone. If you want that, you have it. I've got nothing else. I don't own a bloody thing. And thankfully for me, my ex-husband had protected me. So although he owned the house that I was living in, but I was protected, thank God. And I'm good friends with him now. So this was my situation 6 years ago, and in the end I took personal bankruptcy. Not business bankruptcy, personal bankruptcy. So it means that I can't go and get credit. I'm probably one of the most trustworthy people I know for money. If I owe someone 20 quid, I stress. But I can't now go to a bank and say to them, I need you to lend me some money for my business. If I've got cash flow issues, because I've left the bridal world, even though they foreclosed on the overdraft, I carried on for a further 2 years. But I wasn't in love with the industry, and I didn't have the passion that I needed for that particular field. And I was at a 3-day wedding exhibition just at the end of my bridal life, and I went back to the house, and my kids had left a massive pile of washing for me, and I had 1 day to do it. And I thought, what am I going to do? I know, I'm going to find a local laundrette, and I'm going to go and get this all done in 1 day. I've got 1 day to do a mountain of washing and ironing. So couldn't find a local laundrette in Milton Keynes. Can you believe that? I mean, the town's got 220,000 people in there, and no way to wash your clothes. So I drove up to Buckingham, into this dingy little place where I felt like I had to sanitise myself afterwards. Everyone was depressed, but it was busy. So I drove back. I was driving all the way back to Milton Keynes after I finished, and I thought, oh, bloody hell, why has Milton Keynes not got a laundrette? They're all over London. Why have we not got one there? So I spoke to my then ex-husband, and he financed me. He lent me the money, and he took out a finance agreement in his name for me to open Milton Keynes' first laundrette, called Bubbles Laundromat. I worked in it. It was scary to start off with. You know, I was playing with somebody else's money, and not the banks, because I didn't give a shit about the bank by this time. They'd messed me about. But I was playing with somebody else's chips. My ex-husband, who supported me wonderfully for 13 years, looked after me and my kids until he accidentally fell into somebody else's vagina. But it happens. So he'd financed me, and we opened the first laundrette. 2 years later, we'd turned our situation around, and I'd opened the second one in 2016. We now, 2020, I own 4 coin-operated laundrettes in Milton Keynes. We have a staff base of 22. Now everyone says, well, how on earth do you want to do dirty laundry? You know, you're knee deep in Bletchley's dirty underwear. It's not pleasant. But how could you leave bridal to do that? Well, we have the most fun. I have the most amazing people working for me. I mean, they have given me so much self-belief. I'm really proud to have them, and we see people coming to work for us who haven't worked for a number of years, and they've been stay-at-home mums, and they come in and we upskill them, and they're going off doing things for us now like marketing or customer services manager. I've got a lady working for me now that directs the whole of the operation. Last year we realised that still laundrettes are still quite stigmatised, and we launched a company called the Fresh Laundry Company, which is based in Milton Keynes. It's a collection and delivery service, and my plan is between now and we're franchising the Bubbles name come the end of this year, but my plan for the Fresh Laundry Company is that in the next 24 months that we are going to do for laundry what Uber have done for Eats. So what I want to say to any of you here that are thinking about self-employment, there's a difference between being self-employed and earning your own money to running a business. I know a lot of girls and men who they're doing their own thing. My husband's, I've remarried, number 4. God, I was good in weddings, wasn't I? But being self-employed and making your own money is not like running a business. But if you think you've got an idea, if any of you think that you've got an idea that you could do full-time and grow, don't let anyone stop you. Don't let the nagging self-doubt stop you. Don't let the banks stop you. Just make your plan, write it down, and believe that you can, because I'm telling people now, that my business is going to be like this Uber for laundry, and I've got people looking at me as if to say, are you for real? And I'm like, look, Jeff Bezos started in a bloody shed. He started somewhere, and the only difference between, you can have 2 athletes, and they both eat the same nutrition, they've got the same shape, they've got similar coaches, they put the same amount of training in, but there is one person out of those 2 athletes that's going to win the race, and the one that's going to win the race is the one that believes that he can. And if you ever want to be successful, because there is so much success and abundance in this world, a guy said to me recently, if you want success, like if you went to the ocean and you wanted to get some water, you wouldn't turn up with a bloody teaspoon, would you? You'd go with a bucket to fill it up. And that's what, if I can, my story's not that inspirational, I've just got grit. And if you want to be successful, just believe that you can be. And that's it.